You, man.
Doing pretty well.
Lovely day in southwestern Ohio.
Yeah, Cincinnati, Ohio. I took a hit early as far as people not being able to pay me, but I have other clients that have, so we're still in business, which is more than can be said for a lot of folks. So I'm grateful for that. Got some stuff in the pipe coming down, so that's good to hear. Hopefully things are kind of coming together for you, some new sense of normalcy starting to come online in your lives. I feel like I kind of had my nervous breakdown immediately, and then I've been kind of getting better ever since. So I guess there's some value to that. My wife, however, had to hold it together while I was going nuts, and then she had her issues. So now we're both kind of like treading water, I think.
Yeah, a lot of that going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all are going to adapt. But that said, I'm just kind of killing some time here. See if anybody else is going to join us. Anybody have any questions about anything? You want a test question maybe? Or
Ryan, hi, this is Sona.
Sure.
I have a question regarding the assignment that was given.
Okay.
I think it's last week, was the page layout one.
Okay.
So let me just so when I was able to create the page layout, and after that there was a record I was supposed to see once the buttons I was supposed to create those the list buttons, the detail page buttons, all that. Once that was done, I was supposed to look at the record, under the record, this information, and for some reason I didn't see anything under the record. So I'm not sure where did I miss and what exactly I missed out from here. Can I just share my screen with you?
Absolutely. Sure. Here. There you go.
It's a similar issue. I wonder if it's the same thing. I figured maybe I missed something in a prior homework assignment that it was building upon. I wonder if it's the same thing. We'll see.
So I stopped sharing. You should see a share button there.
Yeah, I'm just opening up my Salesforce.
Oh, you're
just
fine.
Give me a second, please.
Yeah, you're good. So it's best to kind of think of this as steps of a process. It doesn't matter what application I'm building. It doesn't matter if it's a for-profit entity. It doesn't matter if it's a nonprofit. It doesn't matter if it's government. I'm going through the same steps to create the application. There might be different configurations that I can use, like different arrows in my quiver, as far as what I can do to meet individual requirements. But what did we do first?
So this is what I was trying to do here.
Oh, you're talking about that kind of homework. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know this was 2 weeks back, right? So
that's
yeah,
fine.
I was just trying to finish that one.
Let's see it. I thought you were talking about the page layouts from our app that we were building. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I must have said something wrong.
You're good. Can I see the requirement?
Yes.
So what's the challenge?
And this is this.
Major Solar wants to be able to look at their contacts' internet footprints, create a custom button so users can do this right from a contact record. So you're just going to be creating a button that is going to link, you can see it there, HTTP, with a merge field contact name.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add the button to the contact page layout. Okay. So let's see what you did so far.
I think I was really confused about the whole thing. So I ended up going to this so I wasn't sure if I should still be under the object energy, or should I be under the object contact and then create it? Because
that let me see the requirement again.
Because when I tried to do the contact, it didn't have the information. Hold on.
So did they have you create the energy object above? Is that what you did? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's keyword this requirement. instead of reading it and trying to guess, let's keyword it. So what are the keywords here?
Well, what would be contact, right?
So what is the contact? The contact is an object, right?
Object, yes.
And what's the contact object do?
It basically has all the information, the people who are under the account, all the information like contact related information.
Yep. So on the contact object, what's another keyword in the requirement? They want us to create what?
Page layout?
Custom button.
Oh yeah, custom
So
button.
we got to create the button.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to put it on the contact record. The button's going to be called Google Info.
Yeah.
So let's go to the contact object, go to the object manager, and let's take a look at what fields are on the contact object. Okay, go to the fields and relationships section. And then let's take a look. Did you create Google Info?
I did, yes.
Here's a result from search.
Sorry. Siri thought I said, not Siri, whatever that is. Okay, Google thought I did. Just did it again. Okay. So I don't see, buttons, links, and actions, excuse me.
Yeah, that's where I ended up creating Google here.
So is it called Google Info?
Yeah, I did create it. Oh, I don't know what happened. I don't see it here.
You might have put it in the wrong org. Is this your developer org or the org that's attached to, it doesn't matter either way. So create a new button using the new button link. Now with buttons, what are the key points of a button? We did discuss this. I wonder if anybody remembers. Aren't buttons only in Classic?
I didn't know that. So all buttons are in Classic?
Buttons, if you think of the page layout, at the very top, you've got the Chatter Publisher actions that we pulled off, right? In the page layout. Then there's the Lightning Experience and mobile actions that we cleaned up. And then below that were buttons. The buttons are only visible in Classic. We use actions in Lightning.
I knew the share button was only available in Classic.
Well, that's true as well. That is an actual functionality limitation. You cannot use the share action in Lightning. It doesn't come out of the box that way. You have to do it in Classic. But you can pull down a custom action from the App Exchange that'll let you share manually. So what is the code that goes in this field? So you're basically just typing whatever's in the requirement, just copy and paste the website. Yeah, that HTTP, just copy that whole thing. And inside the little curly brackets, that's the code for merge. So you're going to merge whatever their name is, and you're going to Google them. Do you see that? Okay. So copy that, go back to your org, and paste that into the, down there, right there. Just paste it in there. So then scroll down and save. Okay, so now you've created the button, but just because the button exists doesn't mean it's on your page layout. You with me? So let's go to our page layout for the contact object. Now, how many do you have right now?
4.
4. Is this your dev org for class?
Yes.
Okay, so turn that into 1. Delete everything but the contact layout. Because we only need 1, right? Which begs another question. How many, hit the little delete. I don't know why they do that, but yeah, right there. How many page layouts can a user have per object, per profile? Make it the contact layout, replace it with the contact layout.
1.
You can have 1. So right now we only need 1. So delete the other 2.
Oh, right here.
Yep. That's actually Salesforce Classic you're looking at there. Kind of superimposed in Lightning. Sometimes you got to refresh your browser in these situations. It can be a little glitchy. All right, so now we've reduced it down to 1 page layout. Let's go into that layout and take a look. So hit the edit link. You were there.
Wait. Oh.
Page layouts. And there you go. Perfect. So the very first thing you see, I always start at the top and work my way down, no matter what I'm doing. It doesn't matter what my initial thought was of what I want to do. I'm always starting at the top. Now, do you see all the quick actions in Classic Publisher down below the highlights panel under box 1 and 2? You see those actions? What are those?
These are buttons?
No, those are actions in the Salesforce Classic Publisher. Are we using Classic in our org?
No.
So just pull all those actions. I'm going to just grab them and drag them up into box 2 and let them go.
Oh, right here?
No, grab them, put them all the way up at the top in the middle, like next to where it says blank space. That's box 2. Box 1 is the one that says fields. Box 2 is the one to the right. See the contact layout at the very top of the preview editor? Up there, put it in box 2. That's box 2. Let it go.
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
There you go. I don't know if anybody else does. That's what I call them. So just pull all of those. It's drag and drop. Yeah, you're good. You got it. So I'm restricting this page layout down to its most restrictive. Because what we're really doing here is creating user interface. And when we talk about user interface, is it better to be simple or more complex?
Simple.
Right? So I'm making this as simple as possible. Salesforce Mobile and Lightning Experience actions, what are those? The ones below the quick actions in the Classic Publisher.
This is what you see in your mobile?
That's what you'll see in mobile. And also, it's your actions in the top right-hand corner of Lightning. So what I do here is I pull everything but the stuff I need. So the first thing I do is I grab the edit action. It's usually buried in there somewhere. And I make it the far left one at the top. Don't pull it completely out, but put it in front of post. The very first value there, drop it right there. If it'll let you do it if you get it just in it's a little tricky, takes a little getting used to. I make that the first action on the far left because that's going to be the main thing I want my users to do. So I want it to be readily available there. Then I'm going to grab post, pull it into box 2. I don't need to post to Chatter right now. We're not even using Chatter. So pull post. Drop it into box 2 like you did the other actions.
Just trying to find where is post.
It's to the right of edit. From now on, I'm just going to move right to left. Okay. So pull post, file, pull both of those. Put them in box 2 up top. We're actually going to literally pull them from, that's box 1. To the right is box 2.
Oh,
there you go. That's it. So then I'm going to grab the file button or the file action. Grab it, drag it into box 2. I'm going to keep a task because I might want to follow up. I'm going to log a call because I might want to call them and log that call. I don't like to create other objects unless they're activities. So I'm going to pull case, drop new case into box 2, as well as new note. I'll drop it in box 2. And then for new event, I'm going to leave it because that's a calendar event, which is an activity. Then I'm going to pull link, pull question, pull all 3 of those. Then I'm going to look at that email, and that is an action or an activity, so I'm not going to pull that. We're not using approvals right now, so I'm going to pull that approval action and put it in box 2. I never like to let people clone records. It's very bad practice. Sharing, we can't share in mobile or Lightning anyway, but you may as well pull it since you can't do it, even though the action exists there. Delete, I'm going to leave because how am I going to control delete?
Through ownership.
Well, through permissions.
Yeah.
Object permissions, right?
Right.
They won't have delete selected. They won't see that action. Change owner is changing ownership. I would leave the change record type. We haven't talked about them yet, but we're getting there fast. Check for new data, I would pull. Call, I would pull. I might leave call on well, this is the contact record, isn't it? So I might grab that call and put it up next to log a call since this is the contact.
Oh, I already put it here, so maybe.
You can go, so go to your mobile and Lightning's actions in box 1.
Okay.
Then the values in box 2 will change. You got to click on mobile and Lightning actions in box 1. Box 1 is the top left-hand corner under save. Right now it's on fields. Put it on mobile and Lightning actions in box 1. Scroll just a little down a little bit. See you're on fields right now. Go down to
right
mobile
here.
Yeah,
right
there you go. That influences box 2.
Okay.
So now the actions that you have available are going to be kind of popped out, and the ones that you're using are going to be grayed out. So grab that call and put it maybe in front of log a call, because you're probably going to call contacts, and it'll do it right from Salesforce. When you're done with the call, it'll give you a chance to log it, which is nice functionality. We're going to pull the check for new data action into box 2. So check for new data, pull that action in mobile and Lightning Experience actions, put it in box 2. Same thing with send text and email mobile only. Pull those as well. That'll be nice and clean. If you have uploaded the mobile application to your phone, you could log in now once we save this, and you'll see that the little buttons at the bottom are your actions, and they'll be in that order from left to right. Now down below, do you see the buttons? Scroll up a little bit. Below the actions, you'll see up a little more. See the buttons right there, standard buttons, change record type, edit, delete, so forth and so on.
Yeah.
So I'll leave change record type, edit, delete. I'm going to remove that hierarchy, contact hierarchy, pull it, put it in box 2. View contact hierarchy, pull that, set it in box 2. Get rid of clone. Get survey information you can pull, check for new data, add to call list, printable view, and start conversation can all be pulled. Add to call list you can pull. Now there's a button that we created, yes?
Yes.
What was that button called?
Just create Google.
Google, right? Google Info, but you have to go under buttons in box 1. Right now you're on mobile and Lightning actions, go to buttons. Now you should see your Google Info button. Maybe you didn't save.
I did save.
Can you quick save for me? That's fine. And then go to your buttons, links, and actions.
Right here.
Is it there? Is it active?
Let's see.
Let's look and see if, is there an active checkbox?
Should I do edit to see?
I didn't see one. Hang on a second here. So was this your problem to begin with?
Well, I was just confused about how do I link the contact. Should I?
Okay, so the button doesn't exist on the page layout. This was on the contact objects in buttons. Can we preview it? Hit preview for me.
Why did I get that?
Okay, so that was what they will see when they hit the button.
Name.
You see that?
Yeah.
So go back into that button for me. It's actually, let's see, it's a link, which is correct. Content source. Okay. So save that for me, and then go back into your page layout. go under buttons. Can you go in quick find and search for Google? This is weird. I'm not sure what's going on here. See the quick find button name? Is it already in there? No?
I don't see it.
Weird. Let me think for a second. It's not there. The button definitely exists. Can you go back to buttons, links, and actions for me? We're on the contact object. Can you go to the edit to the right of Google Info on the far right-hand side and see what that says, the little drop down? Right there. Oh, it's because it's a link. Do you see that?
Yes.
They want it to be a button. Make it a button. Page button.
Oh.
Okay, save. Now go back to your page layout. So once again, I'm going to start at the top. Those look good. The publisher actions look good. My mobile and lightning experience actions look good. Look at my buttons. So go to buttons in box 1. There it is. Drag that down into the buttons area, which is below the actions down there. Change record type, edit, delete, change owner, and sharing. It looks different than the links. There you go. It goes in that custom buttons area. Drop it right there. Save. Now, the problem is going to be if you go into the app, so go to the app launcher. And go to the sales application. Take a look at any contact record. She's getting around pretty good, don't you think?
Yes.
So if you grab one, how many page layouts do we have? Just grab any record there. Grab Andy, that's fine. Not the account, the contact. So there's only one page layout, right? Now the problem is going to be what?
Oh, there's nothing attached here. Those buttons are not there.
Buttons aren't where?
At the bottom? They're supposed to be at the bottom, right?
No, buttons do not exist in Lightning.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah.
If you wanted to do it in Lightning, what would you have to do? Anybody know?
Have a quick action.
Create a custom action.
Custom action.
Right? So, but if you want to do this, you're going to have to switch to Classic.
Okay.
Go to any contact record. Right now, you're in the wrong application. Notice that she's in the content application in the app launcher's on the right side in Classic. Very good. Let's look at any contact record.
So does that
see it?
Does that impact all the contact? Any button we create or any link we attach? Will that impact each and every person under the contact?
Well, it depends on the page layout you see for that object. If I have two different contact page layouts, one of them has the button and one doesn't, it depends on which layout you have.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So if you hit Google Info, it should Google that person's name. Let's try it. The button in the center of the screen hiding there, edit, delete, and Google. Right dead smack in the center.
Right here. Okay.
There it is. Yep. Google Info. There we go.
Nope. Nice.
Now, what would we want to do if we wanted to do this in Lightning? Which is even a better question than the original.
Did she check the drop down, Ryan?
You mean what drop down?
On the contact record. So navigate back to the contact record in Lightning.
Okay. So you got to go back into Lightning Experience User Interface.
Go back to the Lightning.
Yep, because you're in Classic.
Okay.
So I think Chris said go to the drop down.
Yeah, I don't
Drop down
see-
where?
I guess when I did this exercise, I had the contact record up top, and then I have a drop down arrow for actions on the top of the record, right? So Tim Bar, right, that top panel
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
on the very right hand side, I have a drop down arrow where I can choose different actions,
Yep.
and one of those are Google Info.
Okay, so it said in the requirement that they wanted a button. Are there buttons available in Lightning?
No.
No.
So it's not a button, it's actually an action. So what we want to do is go to buttons, links, and actions and setup. Under so setup, object manager, contact. And we're going to create an action. See new action there? And we want to, what?
Create a button. Log a call.
I'm just thinking here. Just let me think about this for a second. So we want to, the action types they give us. See, they have us create a button, but the buttons don't operate. I bet if you connect your dev org right now, so see where it says My Trailhead Playground 2, the little drop down?
Yeah.
Make that your dev org. So log into your dev org. Still the little drop down next to it, right there. And then log into a dev org. Do your training org that you created for this, that you just used, whatever it was. No, make me log in. All right, so now you should be connected to your dev org if you scroll down. Launch it and see if it worked. Oh, I'm sorry, you want check challenge, not launch.
Why were we done creating everything?
Yeah, I mean, we did everything it said there.
Oh.
It's not launch, check challenge. The longer it takes, that's usually a good sign. See, we met the requirement. The question is, how do we get the action if we can't do just a straight up URL? Is there already an action? I don't think there was there? Chris, you're saying yours just automatically added it when you created the button?
Yeah, I chose detail page button, and it put it there. I just was playing around with it again and changed the label just to make sure that it's the right button, and it updated.
It created an action in Lightning?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to the page layout and see if it's there. I mean, did you do exactly what we did?
Yeah, that's what I was
Let's
doing.
go back to her.
The page layout.
Yeah. So let me check out my page layout.
So go to your mobile and Lightning actions. In box 1.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a Google Info action that we're missing?
So I put it in the
right
I drug it. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
there it is. It must have automatically created that action.
Yeah. So I dragged and dropped it into the contact detail. Yeah.
You do see the difference though, right?
Yeah.
Between a button and an action. That would go, I would put that Google Info probably.
It's right here already.
Well, that's not, it's only going to be in Classic. You'll need the action for Lightning. So put it after new event or something. Put it after email. That'll be good. All right, save that layout and then navigate to any contact record in the app. You got to go to the app from the app launcher, sales app.
Just go to the contact.
Yeah, any contact record. Just want to make sure the action is there. There it is. See it?
Drop down on the right hand side.
Top right hand corner. Your actions are always on a record page. What we're looking at here is called a record page. Top right hand corner are going to be your actions. Follow, edit, Google, info, and delete. Very far right. Top right hand corner. There's your actions. See them? Those are your mobile and lightning experience actions.
Okay.
So if you hit that action, what happens? The Google info action.
Hey, look at that.
Cool, huh?
And then check the drop down too to see if it's in there.
Well, it's only going to be in the drop down if you have. See how I have very few actions? I do that on purpose. If I can make it to where I don't have anything in the drop down, that's best. Because everything's right there, you see? I still don't like how this record page is laid out. But okay, any other questions?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Yep, that was a good one. That had a lot of concepts in it, I guess. Let's see, which screen am I sharing? I want this one. Anybody else? All right, so I ordered you to do some homework. Of course, I didn't do that because I wanted to demo it again. So let me show you how quickly I go through this. It may have taken you a little bit longer, being that it might have been your first time messing with a page layout. But truly what I do when I'm developing is the first thing I do is I think, all right, what's our business process that we're working on? And we're talking about what we're already using right now. So what is our business process that we're using right now?
Sales.
Sales process. And what is our product or service that we're selling?
Generators, right?
Generators.
And fossil fuels or renewable energy right now?
We're under renewable energy, aren't we?
Well, no, that's what we're building on. So right now I'm just getting my schema with what I already have that I'm already using with the current business process.
Okay.
You see that here? I said, what are my standard objects that I'm already using in my most important business process that is already operating? In this case, our fossil fuel power generators. Where do we find our business process?
The opportunity object.
Where?
Under the stage drop down.
This is what we always have to know first. Everybody with me on that? We have to know what the business process is. It's the stage pick list on the opportunity. It's a group of values and a pick list that helps us to dice up data and say, all right, where are we in our business process? This one is an out-of-the-box business process you should never use, but we're pretending like this is our current business process that we're currently using. The key understanding here is that there is stuff that happens or due diligence in between each one of these stages. You have to understand, what does prospecting mean? And what happens between prospecting and qualification to get to qualification? And, so forth and so on all the way down the line to the desired outcome of closing it.
So,
hey, Ryan,
can I ask a question?
I have a question on. I hear you loud and clear that you don't like the terminology that's currently being using, but on the other hand, I mean, maybe anything that you do use, it's going to be just a descriptive, slight variance of what's already there. So, what's so terrible about the current terminology that Salesforce has used as default?
Because we want to be very granular as far as our business process, as far as what we're actually selling. So if the company doesn't have a designed process that they've come up with, I have to do that first. I'm erasing all of this crap. This is all vague. You see that? This doesn't equate to the business model of a manufacturer of specified engineered equipment. There's no specification stage. There, you know, I mean, there's a million things going on here that nobody's going to know what they mean.
The last two work.
They might. But what we need to do is come up with our own process from soup to nuts. Okay, I always equate it to the McDonald's, walking into a McDonald's, right? Back when you used to be able to do that. You walk into a McDonald's, what's the first thing that happens?
Look at the menu.
You know, you open the door. Then what? I usually walk in and stare at the menu for a minute, even though I know what I'm going to get. Then hopefully what happens?
Takes your order, asks you what you want.
Hopefully you're greeted by a cashier.
Working granule.
You see what I'm saying here? This is a specific process for McDonald's. Would the process that we have listed in the stage field right now work for McDonald's?
No, it would not.
No, so it's not going to work for a manufacturer of industrial equipment either. That's my point. Great question. But the first thing you have to get everybody on the same page about is the business process. Usually they have something that looks like this laying around that somebody came up with 100 years ago. Right? Yes. No. Something else happens. Then something happens, right? We've all seen these. It's what we call a business process flow. These are great. Now, I don't want to just build Salesforce around this thing, mind you. But it's nice to have. If they don't have it, I'm going to build one. I'm going to sit down with what I call the steering committee. I'm going to get with, first thing I do is I go in business requirements gathering and I say, all right, everybody, before we even have our 0 hour, back here somewhere, I do my business requirements gathering. And I sit down with people, isolated, one-on-one, stakeholders, users, middle management, tech people, as many as they will allow me hours to interview. And then from that, you know, I know I'm going to plunge anyway. You with me? So
Yes.
I'm using this to build what? Well, before I can do this, I have to have the business process, and I have to understand it at a very high level. Another valuable part of this process is that you are allowing everyone at the table to have a hand in the creation of the process, i.e. the creation of the application. So now they all have buy-in, don't they? I make everybody sign off on this when we're finished. So I say, here's the process, and we're going to start very simply we don't want this to be complex. We're going to be highly restrictive, and I'm going to teach them about this plunge and let them know that I'm going to build a skeleton here. Like this is just architectural. It's like the foundation and the walls and the roof, but they are going to help paint it and put the wallpaper up and do the window dressings and help me pick out the appliances, right? So with the desired outcome here being what we call user adoption. Questions there as far as just theory? Anybody disagree with me? This is my perspective on things.
I mean, Brian, like a lot of times, for right or wrong reasons, customers don't know what their sales process is, and it's leveraging what Salesforce says it should be in the application and try to, rearrange their sales process to match that.
Yeah. Does Salesforce consult?
I mean, they have a professional services group, but not
No.
really on sales processes, I don't think.
They don't. I do that. That's what I do, right? I'm a solution architect, a business analyst. I go in, I do the business requirements gathering, I sit down with everybody in the group, I run the steering committee. I'm truly like a 12-step program for businesses.
I can totally see how this could be very, not confrontational, but a very heated discussion when the principals in the organization disagree with how a certain process should go. And it's almost like you've kind of kicked over the beehive, and now the client, they're going back and forth like, no, it's supposed to go from A to B. No, it's supposed to go to A to C. And you're kind of in the middle trying to keep this under control, but the organization doesn't know what they don't know.
It's a controlled explosion.
Well said.
I am truly a facilitator, like a social worker of some kind. You know, I walk into a lot of orgs, and sales and marketing are siloed and don't talk. Does that make any sense?
Nope.
I mean, is that something they should be doing in the first place?
Yep.
They're doing it. They shouldn't be doing it, but they're doing it anyway. So if I can get everybody to the table and have a lot of those, you said something about being heated. If it's not, you're doing it wrong. If it isn't heated here, it's going to be heated in here, believe it. I try to get most of the heat out of the way by getting everybody to sign off on this before we even start.
I'm curious, do you run into situations where politics kind of overrules quality of idea? Like
all
maybe
the time. Because what do people do when they don't have knowledge?
Just guess.
They start throwing hand grenades. But the problem that they have that they don't understand is that I've played this game so many times that they're falling into my trap regardless. Right? I mean, it's like I'm playing mahjong and they're playing chess. I am using my armies to lure them to the place on the board I want them to be, where chess is like trying to back you into a corner and knock you over. I'm just stepping out of the way and letting them fall directly into it, because it's going to happen either way. We got to get through it, because the alternative is this, right? But they don't know all this. I mean, it's a very fine line you have to walk, because you don't want to give too much information. The salesman in me, the salesperson in me, always wants to give all the information. And it's also from being a trainer as well. I'm always trying to give as much information in as few words as possible. But as a consultant, that's usually not the best practice. It's nudging them in the right direction, because they're hiring me as a consultant because they don't know what they're doing. So if I let them tell me what to do, am I a consultant or an employee? I mean, I
pretty much an order taker at that point.
Yeah, and I'm not your internal sole admin, which is what some people secretly want. Well, just do the workaround. No thanks. Well, can you recommend me somebody that will? No, you'll have to find that person on your own, because that's my reputation on the line. This Salesforce is supposed to be transformational. It's not supposed to just take what you're already doing and somehow, carbon copy it into the platform. It's supposed to be transformational for your organization. It is a hard restart where you can take the stuff from the past, know what you did wrong, and design something that's more for the future. It's like a 10-year budget versus a 6-month budget. Salesforce is a 10-year budget. The average person using an Excel sheet, it's about that moment in time. Whereas Salesforce is we're forward looking. We're using, It's like when I said on one of the first days of class, I always think of it like an automated process, a machine like our bottling application. I am building the machine. It is a machine for making money in this case. I dump the bottles in the top and they filter out through the bottom. They're either closed won or closed lost. But I'm trying to make the most streamlined, effective system for turning potential clients into paying customers as quickly as possible with as few administrative tasks assigned to users. I want an easy button for our business process. I want everybody to know what the business process is. If you walk into some of these firms and you've got 5 salespeople, you know how many business processes you have?
At least 5.
You got 5. So if I was doing a bottling application and I had 5 people all doing it differently, how could I ever meter or monitor or increase or decrease capacity? You don't know. It depends on who's sitting in what slot that day, right? But if everybody has the same path, if everybody has the same process that they move through, I can see where the bulge in the snake is. You guys heard of a sales funnel before?
Yep.
You know, in a perfect world, a sales funnel looks like this. Prospecting, needs analysis. They get smaller in number as we move through the process. And then at the bottom, you'd have like closed won and closed lost. Each one of these being a different stage. Usually we filter out the closed ones and we just want to see what's in the pipeline or what's in the sales funnel. Where are we at? Well, that's never what it really looks like, by the way. That's what we want it to look like, but really it sometimes looks like this. Close lost, close won, right? So, you know, what's the difference? Well, where's the holdup in this case? Which stage? Well, it's stage 3, isn't it? How do I know? Well, I have a bunch of records in stage 3. In our case, needs analysis. So if the bulge in a snake, if we've got a lot of records in that stage and they're not moving, what are we going to do? What would you do?
Dive into that process, see what's going on, I guess.
Yeah, is it a process issue? Do we maybe need another stage? Could we maybe automate some things? Get rid of some of the administrative functionality that's going on where users have to manually do things. Maybe I need to hire another person. But what we're doing is we're trying to create a machine that we can meter and monitor to where everybody's using the same process, and we're eliminating all these what I call tail chasing behaviors, manual repetitive behaviors, sending the same email over and over again, you know, hand creating documents, not using automation when automation is possible, not using validation rules. There's like a million ways that we can make this a wizard. And when we're all said and done, a good Salesforce organization is a wizard. Has anybody used TurboTax?
Yep.
That's how I want my Salesforce org to operate. It's like, do you have a W-2? Here's the form you need. Okay. Do you have another W-2 or no? All right, cool. What about expenses? Car expenses, utilities, travel, right? I mean, that's what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to walk my user who isn't necessarily an admin. I'm trying to walk my user through their day, preferably from their inbox on their email. You saw Cirrus Insight in the last class, yes?
Yep.
So that's what we need first, and we have that here. We're going to pretend like this is our actual process that we've already been selling with. So at that point, once I have the business process, then I come in here and I want to get all of my standard objects, meaning the ones that are out of the box that I'm going to use. And we have those all listed here. So without taking into account leads or campaigns, just for this one sales process, this is what we are currently using. Well, how many page layouts can a profile have per object? One. So what I'm going to do here, and what I already did on the account object, is I went into the page layout and I restricted it down as far as I could. I cleaned it up. And we all did that together. And then I said, do contacts and ops. And I'll do that. I'll show you how quickly I do this. I don't even think about it. I'm literally not thinking about this when I do this. I go into schema, I pull up my standard objects, and I'm just mindlessly cleaning this thing up. I want to make it as restricted as I possibly can, because through the plunge, if I need to add something, I'm going to figure that out quick. What am I doing now? I'm reducing this down to one page layout because I only need one. Why confuse myself with these other layouts if I don't need them? Sometimes you have to refresh your browser here. A little glitchy. Any second now. There we go. Delete. Okay, so now my contact object is down to one layout. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to restrict that layout, much like we did on the homework question a few minutes ago. Once again, I'm not thinking about this at all. I'm literally coming in here and saying, all right, I'm not using shatter. But I am using mobile and lightning, but I'm not using all this crud, so I'm going to restrict this down as much as I can. Task I'll leave, call I'll leave. I don't like to create records from actions unless they're activities to start. Not using approval processes. I don't like cloning. I can't share with an action. Edit, I'm going to put first. Oh. It's terrible in Lightning with all this. It like highlights it, and then you can't move it. Just with the actions. I don't know why. All right. So edit, I guess I removed edit on accident. That is a Lightning and mobile action in box 1. I'd be done by now if it wasn't so glitchy. Oh, it's in there already. There it is. Edit. New task, log a call. Call, because I'm on the contact object. Calendar event, email, delete. That'll be controlled by the profile. Change record type. We might need that later. Check for new data. Send text. Email, pull that. Then I got my buttons here. Pull some of the stuff that I don't want people to do if they accidentally get to classic somehow. Nice and restricted. Then I'm going to come down here into the fields area, and I'm going to pull all the stuff that I don't need. And there's always a ton in these out-of-the-box layouts. Maybe I'd leave title in this case. Lead source, it'll still be there. I just don't necessarily care about it in the contact page layout right now. I can report on it later. I'll pull that extra address. Get rid of this crud here. Reports to, I don't care. I'm not asking for someone's birth date. Email. Department, I don't care. That all looks pretty good. Don't care who created it. Don't care who modified it. Then I'm going to come down here and pull all these sections that we don't need. These mobile cards I'm going to pull because they're butt ugly in the mobile side. I'm going to pull any of these related lists I don't need. So we're not using cases right now. Activities I always leave. Campaigns we're not using. I'll pull notes and attachments, email status, all of it. I might come down to the related lists and add fields or remove fields as needed. I won't do that now, but you can do that. So there's my contact. Then we had to do the opportunity object. Same exact thing. I'll go to the object manager, go to my object of interest, or I would just go to schema and do it from schema. But I'm going to the page layout here. There's 4, I only need 1. So I'll delete them and replace them. As I did with the other two. Now I've just got the one page layout, so I'm going to go in and clean it up just like I did the others. Not using chatter, just getting redundant. This is what people don't do, by the way. If you want to see the value of it, look at it in mobile. Do you think people want to be in anything but mobile if they don't have to be?
Nope.
Probably not.
That's interesting.
I always have clients that say, I don't care about mobile, but I always develop mobile in parallel with, when I'm developing everything else. And by the time we're done, they're always like, I like mobile better than Lightning. Every time. Never fails. Because it is better.
Well, I like working from 2 screens that are bigger to when I'm working, so mobile's a necessity. But I've had mobile that was not configured well before, and it's a pain in the neck.
Well, if anything that's poorly configured is going to be a PIA.
I always had to go hunting for the things that I was looking at all the time.
Yeah, that's because they didn't set up the profile as restrictive as possible. They had everything turned on. See what I mean?
They had things turned on and they had things in the wrong place.
That's right. So nobody can see what's going on.
Right. And it led to frustration.
Absolutely. All day long. Did everybody see how you can make fields required on the page layout or read only? You see that? This is what we call a soft require. In this case, this is a hard required field. It's a system generated field. But I could also go to the amount field here and make it required and or read only. See that? It's going to require it for anyone assigned that page layout, but it's not hard requiring it to where every time I do an import, I have to have it. So I like those soft requires, generally speaking. Hopefully I didn't lose anybody there. Pull this crud that we don't need. Can I get rid of probability? Yeah, it won't let me. Some of this stuff it won't let you get rid of. So I put it all the way at the bottom because on mobile, it will then be all the way on the bottom of mobile. Another thing with mobile is don't name your fields with long, drawn out, many charactered labels because there's a character limit on mobile. So you won't be able to see what the field is if it's too long. Try to keep it as few characters as possible for all your field headers, thinking with mobile in mind. This, once again, is what people don't do. Products we need. What are products?
The widgets that we're selling?
Yeah, our generators, our products and services that we itemize, and that fills out our amount field and locks it. So we're going to use that. Activities we always want. I'll pull notes and attachments. I'm going to leave contact roles. We'll talk about them later. I'll remove partners, competitors, stage history, and let's say we're not using opt teams. So let's take a 10-minute break. And then if you haven't done that yet, go ahead and do it during the break. And then when I come back, we will continue onward in our application. I shall return.
Hey, Ryan.
Oh, I was on mute the whole time, huh?
There you go.
Yeah.
I like talking to myself sometimes. All I did there was log in as Joe on this mobile application. If you do it on your phone is the best way. That's how I normally do it when I'm developing. I have my phone there. I log in as my user, usually a fake user. And it'll look different than this. It's a different interface now. This is the old interface here, but it's very similar. It looks a lot like this. See how nice and seamless this is? There's not a million objects here that we have open. There's just the ones we're using. That's all controlled on the user's profile with the object settings. So if you go to an account record here and look, this is the list view for recent accounts. There are more list views here, ones that we could create. But there's Burlington. When we look, it should be nice and clean. Very few fields. What they need at the top, everything else at the bottom. Then related lists here. So it has one contact. There's Jack. Nice and clean. Everybody with me? If I look, there should be an opportunity associated with Burlington, but I guess there isn't right now. Or he doesn't have access probably to see the op. But as I'm developing in Lightning, I've always got mobile open looking. See our actions down here? See how nice and clean that is? I don't have a drop down with a million choices. Just what they need, no more, no less. What I would recommend that you do is upload the application for Salesforce Mobile and use it when you develop this app, and do it. Anything you do, you want to do it in mobile. Check it out in mobile as well. That way you don't have to redo it at the end. Did everybody get that far? Does your schema look like this? How many business processes do we have here?
That.
What is our business process?
It's a sales stage.
Where's the sale? It's the stage pick list, right? So how many business processes or how many sales processes do we have going on right now?
I think just one still.
And for what products and services are that? Fossil fuels, right? We had our stages: prospecting, needs analysis, all the way down through close, loss, close, won. Everybody with me? So if we're thinking about our new application, not our new application, but our new business process, where is that going to be housed?
The opportunity. What you're talking about, a new business process for the other sales process for renewable energy sales?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's another opportunity record type.
So what is the sales process physically?
Similar?
It's the stage pick list, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is come up with the business process for renewable energy. How would you go about getting that?
Talk to the stakeholders.
Okay. So I'm your solution architect. I went out and talked to the stakeholders.
Okay. Map it out. Agree to it.
Well, I went in, I did some business requirements gathering. We created the process, which I'm going to link this project in chat. If people don't have it, you can get it here. Now I'm going to open up our project and look. Well, what's the first thing we need to do?
Create a business process.
that meets the requirement for renewable energy. Then once we have that, what are we going to do? You see? You see? This is a recipe for success regardless of application. You can walk through this every time. It doesn't matter what the fields are called. It doesn't matter what the values are in the processes. We're talking architecture here. So the business process, what is the business process that we're working with?
Sales.
Okay. Isn't this one over here fossil fuel? And this one over here is going to be renewable energy.
All right, wait a minute.
They're just another set of pick list values. Where do we put them? We put them on the stage pick list, see? So first, let's discuss this process. So when we're selling our fossil fuel style generators, we go out, they tell us what they need as far as output, probably in amps, volts, watts, whatever. And then we just assign them with whatever design product exceeds their peak need by like 20%, and we're done. We install it, we're finished. That's pretty much the standard process. We go in, we say, what do you need? They say, we need this. We install it, we test it and make sure that it works, but that's it. Very simple process. With renewable energy, in our case, it's going to be a solar system. The first value is going to be set to open, meaning that nobody has looked at it yet. So when they choose the renewable energy products and services that they're going to buy from us, potentially, we're going to choose renewable energy process, the first value being open, meaning that nobody has looked at it yet. The second stage that we discussed is called assessment. And what they do is they go out on location and they do what they call an energy assessment or an energy audit of the entire facility. So it's along the lines of counting every light bulb, sticking kilowatt meters on machinery, understanding how much energy they are actually using on a daily basis. That's the assessment. What do you have currently or existing in place already? From that, we can design a proposal based on our products and services. That's the third stage. So from the assessment, we can determine the best solution and give them an idea of potential energy savings over time on the proposal based on, okay, if you throw up a bunch of solar panels, here's the return on that investment in the form of energy savings over time. So we want that number to be high, don't we? Energy savings?
Yes.
That's
The problem with renewable energy is that it takes a really long time to pay off the initial capital expenditure with energy savings. It just does. It might take the lifespan of the material to pay itself off once. That's what we call a savings to investment ratio of 1. If it pays itself off over the lifespan of material, that's considered a valid energy project because it will eventually pay itself off. But it's 25 years. See the problem there? You're going to spend a ton of money up front. It'll take you 25 years to pay it off. So what we might do to kind of juice that number in an ethical way is I would put an exponential growth curve on it with inflation, standard rate of inflation, and then also the rising cost of utilities over time. So that way we can give them a more complete or perfect view of the energy savings in dollars over time, not just now dollars, but for all time. Then we might get a savings to investment ratio of 3, 4, 5, or 6. You see the point there? Hopefully what I'm starting to impart upon you is when you do these projects, you have to become a pseudo expert in their business process. You have to understand what they do and why they do it.
Right.
So after we propose it, that's the decision, isn't it? They say yes or no. When are they going to say yes to us?
I'm not sure.
Why or when?
Well, at what point are they going to make the buy decision? What are they going to have to see on the proposal?
Price.
Cost versus savings, I guess.
A
Right?
huge savings over time versus cost, right? That's our sales pitch, isn't it?
Yes.
So if they don't want to buy, what do?
Close, lose.
Close lost. If they want to move forward, we go to the upgrade stage. Notice that it's 100% probability here. Now, for the proposal and the upgrade, we could totally manage those in this app, but to save us some time, we aren't going to do that in this class. The proposal, I would use a third-party application, probably something like Conga Composer, to develop a proposal based on the products that we choose for the opportunity, i.e. solar panels and service hours, cable, whatever it is. But we're not going to do that to save us some time. So the proposal and the upgrade are going to be phase 2 of the project. We're not going to do those right now. After the upgrade is complete, I mean, we totally could. We could manage all of that in here, but it's just going to be a lot more time we need to spend. So quality assurance is after the upgrade is completed, and this is a value add compared to the fossil fuel side. Because what we'll do is we're going to go out and we're going to do the same test that we did on the assessment side, but now we're going to do it at the QA side to ensure that what we promise actually came true. Everybody get the idea? So we go out, we do an assessment, we propose a solution, they choose. If they say yes, after the upgrade is installed, we do a quality assurance inspection and ensure that they are getting the savings we promised. And then finally, we're closed one. Go ahead.
To be honest with you, I'm really confused. So this seems like it would be not part of a sales process, because the sale's done when the sale's made and you've got agreement. This seems like some kind of support or servicing.
No, this is definitely a sales process, because you're not going to hit closed one until you're paid.
So how do you get 100% then?
Well, it's 100%, but it's open still. If they're in the quality assurance phase, we've already done the upgrade. So the probability of that closing one is 100%, one way or the other. So if they're in quality assurance, it's 100% chance it's going to close win, but it's still in the pipeline status. It's not truly closed until we get paid.
So if you don't pass quality assurance, though?
Well, who's that on?
Well, it's on your...
It's on us, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just, to me, 100% is non-erasable. It's done.
Well, once we do the upgrade, we're not giving them their money back.
Right.
We might add some stuff. We might do some things to try and maybe the quality assurance inspection was done poorly, right? But you see how this is a sales process. They call us, they say, hey, we're looking at solar. We say, okay, we're going to send out an engineer to do the assessment. From that assessment, we create the proposal and we ask them for the sale, right?
Right. And then I'm with you so far at that point.
And then they say yes or no. If they say no, it's closed lost. If they say yes, we put it into the upgrade stage, because that's where we would manage the actual physical upgrade. The probability of that close winning is going to be 100%. We're going to close it one eventually, because we've already done the upgrade. We're not going to do the upgrade and lose it. Make sense?
I've never seen multiple 100% stages of a sale, because again, there's a lot of things that happen when you click that it's 100%. That goes into numbers for management to see and everything. So
That's forecasting. It's saying that we have 20 jobs in quality assurance. That means that 20 upgrades have been completed. They're just awaiting QA.
Okay.
See what I mean? It's still 100% of dollars. It's just not closed yet. We're going to get that money because we've already vetted them. We probably already have financing in place, right? There, I mean, that's probably happening up here somewhere.
All right. Just new to me.
Every business process is different. Here's what I always hear when I walk into a new org. You know, we're not like other companies. Well, I got news for you. You're like all other companies. You're not doing anything differently. There is a step A and a step Z that you go through every time. And if there isn't, then you're doing it wrong. Right? If you haven't planned the battle to some extent, then you won't be able to make decisions on the fly and change the battle plan in real time because you didn't make a plan in the first place. So you want to plan this thing out to the nth degree with the fewest number of stages possible. You don't want 100 stages either. Think reports and dashboards here. Dashboard analytics with charts on them. We're just dicing data up by these values. But we have to define them as they exist in our particular business process for this type of product and service. That's all this is. So what we have to do now is we have to go and we have to add this second process to the stage pick list. You can see I've done that here. So I'll go ahead and start doing that now. I'm going to go to my stage pick list. So setup. Object manager, opportunities, and stage. Fields and relationships. What can I change on a standard field? Well, help text, label, pick list values, description. So I'll click on the stage, come down here, and I'm going to create a new stage called open. According to the requirement, it's pipeline open with a 10% probability. Now notice it puts it on the bottom here. You have to remember that when you're adding stages, you want everything above close lost and close won. I'm going to reorder them all at the end, but just know that the pick list is going to be in that order. You can't reorder on the pick list on a record. So it's open. Assessment probability is 50%. Half the time if we get the assessment, we get the work. That sounds about right. It's going to be an open status, pipeline, 50%, save and new. I'm going to create another value called proposal. Probability is 70%, pipeline, save and new. And to make Doug feel better on the upgrade, we'll do a 90%.
I'm just saying I hadn't seen it before.
Does that make you feel better?
No, I'm open to learning new things. It's all good.
I'm just playing with you.
I know. Me too.
Come on.
So was the person that named this lightning experience.
Well, that is interesting, isn't it? It's the platform that they use to create mobile is called the Lightning platform. They didn't mean that it was faster.
Obviously.
But it sure sounds like it.
Yeah.
As soon as I get paid again, I'm getting a new computer. If you don't have 16 gigs of RAM, it's almost impossible to run this with a screen sharing tool effectively. Unless you can run your mouth while you wait like I do.
The old soft shoe.
Yeah. So let's see. Upgrade. And we'll do 90% because you know what? I think you might be right. It's not 100% till you're paid, right? So we'll say 90% just to account for any problems. That's perfectly acceptable. Then we got quality assurance. And that would be 100%. But let's do 90 again, just to be safe. Open pipeline. Okay. So you don't have to do this with me unless you want to. I just want to show you what I mean by reordering. Currently, if we look at this, do you see how these values are below close loss, close won? If I go into an app here and I look at an op record, what we'll see now is that both business processes are in the same stage pick list. You think that's a problem?
Yes.
How many page layouts can I have per profile, per object?
One.
So the problem we're going to run into here is if we have more than one product or service, and people are going to sell both types of products and services, I can't really do that currently because look at my milestones up here on my path. Both are listed on my page layout. Do you think that confuses users to have more than one process in a layout?
Yes.
Also notice that closed lost and closed won are above this second process. So what I really want is this one to be above or below the original. So I'll go back to the stage here and I'm going to reorder those values to where they're above closed won and closed lost. So I'm going to reorder and I'm going to grab open, assessment, proposal. I'm just holding control here and I'm going to up. I'll just put it above prospecting. Don't do it too many times or it'll reorder them all. But I want it to look like that when I'm finished. And you'll see in the project, it looks like that as well. So now I have both processes in the stage pick list. But as we said, that's a problem. We don't want both processes for both types of products and services. How many different types of products and services do we have?
Two.
Fossil fuels, renewable energy. So how many business processes is that?
Two.
Okay. So then how many page layouts is that going to be? Are we going to need the same fields for fossil fuels that we need for renewable energy?
No.
No, you're going to have different field sets here, right? This one might have a bunch of fields. This one might have just a few. So how many page layouts am I going to need? What are we going to call the first business process?
Fossil fuels.
What are we going to call the second one?
Renewable energy.
Renewable energy business process. What are we going to call the first page layout?
Fossil fuels.
Fossil fuel page layout. Fossil fuel opportunity page layout. What are we going to call the second one? Renewable energy opportunity page layout. You with me?
Yep.
Because what we're going to do now is create what's called a record type.
Yay.
So
I've been waiting for this to come up because if this wasn't going to be a record type situation, then I was going to be out of here.
This is the reason for a record type.
Right.
It used to be you only used record types for objects that needed them. Some people still adhere to that, but that's no longer the case. I'll show you why later. I create a record type for every object, no matter what. It is a minimum standard of quality. What do I know I have if I've created a record type? Well, let me show you. So the first thing, this is what you got to memorize for the test as well. If you memorize this, you'll get all the record type questions right on the exam. This is also a step-by-step process for creating a record type. So the first thing we need to create is the page layout. How many do we need?
One. You need one for each opportunity type.
So we need a fossil fuel and renewable energy, right?
Yep.
So I need to make sure I have both of those created with the fields that I need in those layouts. Step number 2. If there is a business process, I have to deal with it. What is a business process?
Definition.
Set of steps to get something from point A to point B.
Yeah, in our case, for what we're doing, what is our business process?
Sales
process.
Sales process. What is it physically?
The stage
pick list. What object are we operating on?
Opportunity.
Ops, right? So here's the caveat here. You create your page layouts that you need. Then you create your business processes if you are working on a standard object that has a stage or status pick list.
Say that again.
If you are working with a standard object only that has a stage or status pick list on it, standard, you have to deal with the business process in step 2. Otherwise, you can skip it. It's just another pick list otherwise. So in our case, we're talking about opportunities. So I'm going to need to deal with this business process. How many am I going to need?
2.
Step 3 is once I have the page layouts dealt with and the business processes dealt with, then I can go ahead and create my record types. How many am I going to need?
Hey, Ryan, question for you. So didn't we consolidate all the different page layouts to just be one?
We did.
And now we're saying we need 2.
Well, currently, without record types, how many page layouts can I have per object per profile?
1.
What this is going to allow me to do is manage my page layouts and business processes and pick list values by record type, and I can have more than 1 per object per profile. So what they'll get when we're done here is a choice. If they hit the new action on an opportunity record, if they hit new, it's going to ask, which record type do you want? Fossil fuel or renewable energy? Very first thing. And then it's going to, by choosing that, you're choosing the page layout and business process for your product and service that you're selling. Still the same object. It's all going in the same table. I'm just isolating what columns you see and what pick list values you have available. That's it for that type of record. So we got, yep.
So essentially, we are mapping record types to page layouts.
And business processes. That's it. Step 4, we always manage it on the profile. And if you remember, what do you get if you don't hit edit on the profile?
Page layouts.
Page layouts, field level security.
Security and record type.
Record type settings, right? So if you memorize just this, page layout, business process, record types, and profile, the test question will be like, blah, 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 record type. And in the answer set, A, B, C, and D, or whatever it is, they're going to have page layout, business process, profile in the answer set somewhere. So you got to have all 4 of these in the question and the answer, and you got the answer right.
Okay, Ryan, one question.
Sure.
So there's a limit on record types too. For example, we can have 1 page layout per object and per profile. So
that's a great question. If you're in professional edition, you only get 3 record types per object. Essentials, I don't even think you get 1. I think you're stuck. Enterprise, if there's a limit, I don't know what it is, but you can have a bunch. You want to keep them to a minimum though, just for the product, for the number of products and services that you sell. If you have a different business process, then you got to create another record type.
Right.
If somebody needs to see a different page layout, I'm going to argue that you're going to create a record type for every object. A lot of people don't adhere to this. I do because I've actually worked and done projects. You'll see why I do it here in a minute. So let me create one of these real quick while we still have some time. So what was step one?
Page layout.
Page layouts. I already have one created. I'm going to rename this one. I'm going to call it the fossil fuels opportunity. Let me make sure that I have this, how I have it written in. I don't want to confuse people. Top of the page. Okay. Renewable energy and fossil fuels. So I'm going to rename this by going to layout properties. I'm going to call it fossil fuels op layout and save. Then I'm going to create a new page layout called renewable energy opportunity layout. I'll just go ahead and clone the fossil fuels because I already restricted it down. You with me?
You restricted it down to what?
Well, remember when I removed all the actions and buttons?
Oh, right. Okay. Yep.
Did I spell that wrong? I knew I did. So now, I might add something so I know the difference. Let's do, I don't know, lead source. Just so we know the difference. I'll put it below probability so we know. Related list will be the same. Everything else looks good. I'll save. Now you would have different fields. Right now I'm just creating a container, aren't I? Because I can always change them later.
Right.
What's step two?
Adding them to a pick list.
Well, business, we already did that, right? I already added the stages for the new business process to the stage pick list. So now I have to manage the business process if it's on a standard object with a stage or status pick list. Is the opportunity standard?
Yes.
Does it have a stage or status pick list?
Yes.
Then I have to deal with that business process. Watch what happens if I go and I try to create a record type without a business process. I'll go right to record types here in the object manager. What's it say? It says, an opportunity record type must be associated with what?
Sales process.
Now, if I didn't hammer that into your head for 10 days, that the sales process is the stage pick list. Do you see why that's confusing?
So I'm confused right now, and I'll expose it. If you cloned it, isn't there by nature a clone process?
I can't clone it right now. I can't do anything right now because I don't have a process yet. It gives me a little option to go there. So you can go there and do it. That would be one way. I usually know I need to do it and do it from the setup tree.
So the stage itself, Ryan, doesn't define the business process, right?
No, it's just the values of all the processes in one place. When we just had one process, it was fine. All we needed was one page layout, right? Now that we have two, come up here and search sales process.
I see. So you wouldn't get that prompt then if you just had one page layout.
Well, you're going to get that prompt if you try to create a record type and you don't have a process handle. Look, I don't have any. See?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to create one. What are we going to call them? Well, fossil fuel sales process. This is step 2. Now this is for fossil fuels, so I need to remove all the ones for renewable energy. See? And this one I need to reorder. See that? I didn't reorder one on accident, so I got to go back and fix that eventually. Before I do that, I'll go ahead and create my renewable energy sales process, which is just the other way around. This one is there. Notice I can't reorder. So now I have my two sales processes. What's step 3?
Record type.
I'm going to go to record types in the object manager for my object of interest, which is the opportunity object. How many do I need? What are we going to call them?
Few opportunity record type.
Well, I'm going to give you a little trick here, what we call tribal knowledge. Don't put record type after it. Just call it fossil fuels, because your user is going to see a button and it's going to say record type fossil fuels record type.
Yeah.
Right?
That's redundant over and over again.
Right. Step 4 is down here. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Which profile needs it? Well, custom sales and admin. This one is saying default. The default record type, this is a test question, by the way. The default record type is what Salesforce will default to when you convert a lead. So if you have more than one record type available, the one you choose as default is the one that it gets converted to initially through lead conversion. Now we're selecting our page layout. We could make it different for every profile, but I'm not going to do that. Save and new, and now I'm going to do the same thing for my renewable energy record type. Just call it renewable energy. Which process? The renewable energy process. Make sure you choose active, and we'll make it available for sysadmin. What's the default mean again?
You convert.
When you convert that, when you convert, that's the one it's going to default to. So you may actually have to go in and change that record type if you convert a lead. Does that make sense?
So which one does it choose, Ryan?
The one that you chose as default. In this case, when you convert a lead, it's going to default to fossil fuels record type.
Gotcha. And I guess could you modify the conversion process to have the details to determine which one to default it to?
You can do it with the process builder. But you can't do it with standard function. I mean, the process builder is standard functionality, but it's customization through automation.
Right.
So what's the desired outcome? Well, if I click on the new button for an opportunity, I should get a choice. If I choose fossil fuels, I should get one business process. If I choose renewable energy, I should have a different page layout with the other business process. Notice quality assurance is down here hanging out. How would I fix that?
By reordering it
Where?
to the stage pick list.
Good.
Opportunity.
Very good. That is absolutely correct. So I'm going to go to the stage pick list, go to my stage under fields and relationships under the opportunity object under setup, and I'm going to reorder that quality assurance up above closed loss, closed won. How's everybody feel?
Good.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That tends to cause some gnashing of teeth occasionally.
I think it's easier than security.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy.
Everything's going to be easier than security. So we've kind of come over the hump on that one. So I'm just going to reorder this. Everybody get the general idea for this one?
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't done that, we'll assign that as homework. Really quickly, I would also like, don't do this along with me. I would like for you to try this as well for homework. So let's say for account records, I want to start tracking competitors. is a competitor account record type going to have the same fields as a customer account record type?
Oh.
So how many page layouts am I going to need?
2.
What are we going to call them?
Competitor layout.
Customer and competitor. This one's going to be customer, the existing. I'm just renaming it right now. Trying not
Ryan,
to, yeah, go ahead.
to create the record type of account, do we need another process? I don't think so.
Well, yes, because we're going to have a competitor record type that's going to have different fields available. Also, when you get to record page, you can isolate visibility based on app, profile, and record type. So you can get very granular with record pages if everything is all the way to record type. So I get every object to record type as a rule.
So record type is always an attribute of every record, you're saying, Ryan?
Every object, that's what I do when I am developing. I get every, because it's a minimum standard of quality. If I have every object to record type, what do I know I have created for sure?
A process?
Well, is there a process on account records?
No.
No.
No. But if it did have one, we would know it was dealt with. But I know I have a page layout completed, right?
Right.
I know the record types are completed, and I know they've been assigned to a profile. So for me, I want to get every object to record type. So there we have customer and competitor, and they would probably have even less fields. So I'm just going to pull some of these to where it makes it look even smaller so we can see the difference.
And so your advice is to have, even if you have one record type, still created.
If you have one page layout, you just go ahead and create a record type, because if you ever want to scale, what are you going to have to do?
Create another one anyway.
You have to create another one anyway. So set yourself up for success, and it's going to give you another level of granularity on the record page side. Okay, so what's step 2? Is there a business?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If you've only got one, why would you create a record type? Because doesn't that create one extra step, which is going in the face of trying to keep it simple?
Hold that thought. Hold that thought, okay?
Yep.
You'll see. It's just you haven't seen behind the veil enough yet to get it. When we get there, you'll see it. You'll be like, oh. It's just, So step 2, is there a business process on the account, a stage or status pick list out of the box? No, so I can skip it. What's step 3?
Create record type.
How many do I need?
2.
Customer and competitor. Remember, I'm just going to name them because they're just going to be buttons. What's the default mean?
What gets chosen during the lead
When you
conversion
convert from a lead, that's the one that it's going to default to. What am I on here? I'm on customer.
Okay.
Now I want competitor. Active. I'm just going to be lazy and enable it for everybody. I would never do that in a production org. I'd want to be sure I knew who's going to get that and do it accordingly. Competitor and save. So the desired outcome here is that you and your user should be able to go into an account record or go into the account object and select new, and you'll get a choice. Looks even better in mobile because it's truly 2 buttons pop up. It's really slick. Another thing you're going to want to understand is that now that you have different record types, you want to go ahead and add the record type field to each page layout. See this? If I go to customer, I have lots of fields. If I do competitor, I have less fields. I can even manage pick list values on record types. So here's what I look at in schema before we break. I know we got like 4 minutes here. So what I would like for everybody to do, if possible, if you haven't created the 2 for ops and the 2 for accounts, please do that. But also do it for the contact object. So here's what I'm looking for when I'm developing an app in Schema. Notice that I now have this record type field. You know what that tells me? I'm done with that object, right?
Oh, okay.
And then ops I got done too, right? Because it has the record type field. So I just kind of pull these off to the side. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to do what for the contact object? How many record types am I going to need here?
Multiples.
Well, I think just 1 page layout and 1 record type. Is the contact record going to change that much depending on whether it's an account
Oh, no.
editor or, I mean, probably not, right? So unless I have to, I just need 1. So what are you going to do there? Well, at that point, I'm going to go to view object. I already know I cleaned it up because that's the first thing I did. My page layout already exists. So I'll just go ahead and create my record type. I'm just going to call it contact. I already had the page layout. There is no business process on the contact object. Enable it for everybody. Add our page layout. Save. Now my contact object is done. So when you have all of your main standard objects to record type, that is a minimum standard of quality. I'm done now. Now you can do the same thing for these other objects. We don't have to. So when we come back, now keep in mind that next week there is no class. Tuesday and Thursday I got a paying gig I'm on until like 7 p.m. EST. So just take a couple of weeks, hop on some Trailhead stuff. Why don't you do some stuff in, make sure you get everything to record type as I showed you there. And then in the meantime, let's look at Trailhead. And since we've got that week in the way, we'll do some time and bang out some stuff here. Let's do admin beginner. We already did platform basics. Did we do data modeling? I think we did, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did lightning experience customization, I believe.
Yes.
So then why don't we do mobile app customization? And then on the developer side, in this one, we will do let's do formulas and validations. That's a pretty good chunk of work. And that's getting us almost done with admin and developer beginner. So we're moving right along. As far as the project, what are we going to do next? So here's what you're going to look forward to when we come back. So we built all of our standard objects in Schema. So what do you think we're going to do next?
Maybe some custom objects.
Custom objects next. So we're going to go through our business process, find out what isn't trackable with standard functionality, and then we're going to create objects and relationships to where we have a good user interface where everything's very easy to see. It all works seamlessly. And when we're done, we'll have a working application in Lightning, Mobile, and Classic. So we're just kind of moving right along here. But other than that, that's all I got. I'll leave the floor open for questions. I don't have a super hard stop today. So if there's any questions, feel free to shoot. If not, I will see you week after this coming.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.